Welcome to this time of prayer and meditation. As we gather together in spirit, I trust that your holy week, indeed all the holy days of your lives, have been blessed in miraculous ways. I want to send out my best wishes for a joyous Passover as well as a happy Easter to each of you. I invite you to take a deep breath with me now as we center our hearts and our minds for this worshipful time. Hear now from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 28, verses 1 through 10. After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descending from heaven came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing white as snow. For fear of him, the guards shook and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has been raised, as he said. Come, see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has been raised from the dead, and indeed he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him. This is my message for you." So they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy, and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them and said, "Greetings!" And they came to him, took hold of his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid, and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." Let us pray. We confess to you, Holy One, that we need resurrection more than ever. Guide us to find the seeds of new life in the midst of the world we are in. Call us to perceive where the stone is being rolled away. Break us open to the world even while we keep ourselves safe. Remind us that resurrection, new life in you, begins here and now with us. Help us to hear your whisper in our hearts, encouraging us. Do not be afraid. All things will be made new. All things will begin again. Amen. I invite you to travel back with me in your mind's eye to that first Easter morning. It was still dark outside. You can imagine the quietness of the empty streets. The disciples were gathered together behind locked doors out of fear of the fact that they could be targeted next. That is, except for two. Leave it to the women. Two women bold enough to go out on a journey together. And the grief that these two women shared would have been palpable as they walked to the tomb that morning. Death by crucifixion was a traumatic event to experience, even more so when the one being crucified is your best friend, your leader, the one in whom you had placed all of your hope and trust for a better tomorrow. That was the first Easter morning. In Matthew's gospel, we are left to wonder what it was that the women expected to find. The tomb had been sealed and was being attended by guards. There are no mention of spices to anoint Jesus' body. Maybe the women were simply drawn together by their pain, drawn together in a need to mourn together the death of their friend and leader. I believe this Easter 2020 is probably the most historically accurate Easter that any of us will ever experience in our lives. Meaning, rather than having the grand pageant of celebration, we are actually kind of right there, right in that moment of confusion and feeling lost and alone and scared. See, we've not yet quite figured out what resurrection means in the world of a pandemic, much less what we are supposed to respond, how we are supposed to go on with our lives, what it means to us individually and our world as a whole. That first Easter morning, there were no walls of Easter lilies or tulips. There were no majestic anthems, no new clothes or bonnets. That first Easter morning, there were no trumpets sounding or choruses of hallelujahs, no Easter egg hunts, and no lunch buffets. That first Easter morning, there were just grieving disciples, feeling very much isolated and alone, wondering what in the world was going on. But also, let's not forget the angel. Remember the angel who came and sat on the stone that had been rolled away? The angel whose first words to the women were, "Do not be afraid." Again, I would propose that today, that Easter 2020 is the most historically accurate Easter we'll ever experience. Do not be afraid is a message that is needed across our world today. Do not be afraid. Jesus has risen and will meet you. Do not be afraid, Gambrel. You have not been abandoned. Do not be afraid, world. God is greater than death. Do not be afraid. There is hope. Now, if we're all very honest with ourselves for just a moment, many of us are still afraid. We are afraid for ourselves and our family. We are afraid for our nation and our world. Experience has taught us that telling someone to not be afraid, much like telling someone not to worry, doesn't really do much. It doesn't provide much comfort when you're caught up in the midst of those feelings, even when that message comes from an angel. We look back again at Matthew's gospel. The women take off running. They're running to meet the other disciples, and they're running with fear and great joy. And then in the middle of their race back to the disciples, Jesus appears and he repeats the message, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell the others." Yes, we may be afraid, but like the women, we can also be filled with joy. We know that COVID-19 is a reality, that overcrowded hospitals and a lack of personal protective equipment are reality. We know deep in our hearts the reality of death and grief. But these realities are not the whole story. The good news of Easter, the incredible, jaw-dropping reality of Easter, is that God has the final word. That God is speaking new life and hope into this world each and every moment. That God's light shines on our journey, bringing hope and joy, especially into those places that are the most fear-filled. The resurrection promises that God's light is more powerful than darkness, that God's love is stronger than hate, and that the life God offers prevails over all things, including death. May you know the truth of this Easter promise this year. Amen. I invite you to join with me now in our prayer for healing. God of all seasons, we are reminded that your time is not our time. As we are in the midst of a difficult season, resurrection is at hand. In a time when we are called to stay indoors, in a time when we see more darkness than light, in a time when we cannot envision the end result of transformation, we remember. We remember how the women discovered the stone was rolled away. We remember those who gathered at the tomb, their trembling and fear, their wonder and amazement. We remember their witness in the face of the unknown. Be bold in us, O God, to proclaim resurrection. Be bold in us, O God, to live out our faith by doing our part to care for our neighbors and loved ones. Be bold in us, O God, to trust in a future with hope that is beyond what we can perceive right now. Be bold in us, O God, to proclaim that Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed, and that new life and resurrection is at hand. Amen. Amen, and God bless you.